Good morning to all. Myself Dr. Soumen. I am senior scientist in the division of computer application. In today's lecture, we will be covering control structures in Python. In Python, control structures are used to alter the flow of execution in a program based on certain conditions. In this control structure, Python supports the usual logical conditions which are used in mathematics like equals, not equals, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. These conditions are used in several ways, most commonly in if statements and loops. The main control structures in Python include, first of all, if statement. It executes a block of code only if a specified condition is true. Next one is the else if statement. It allows to check multiple conditions sequentially after an initial if statement. In short or programmatically, it is written as ELIF, which stands for else if. Next is else statement, which executes a block of code if none of the preceding if or else if conditions are true. First of all, we see if statement. If statement is written by using the if keyword. For example, A is equal to 3, B is equal to 5. Then if condition comes, if B greater than A, we print B is greater than A. Now in this particular example, we use two variables A and B, which are used as part of the if statement to test whether B is greater than A. As A is 3 and the value of B is 5, therefore this particular condition which is mentioned in the if statement, that is B is greater than A, is satisfied, and therefore as an output of this program we get B is greater than A. This is printed in the screen. Now we go to the Google Colab and we run this particular example, and as an output of this program we will get B is greater than A. So this is the first example where we have used this conditional if statement. Similarly, in the subsequent examples, we will be using other conditional statements. Next one is the else if statement. As we have seen earlier, that the else if statement is written by using the ELIF keyword. As an example, say A is equal to 3, B is also equal to 3. Now the if condition comes, if B greater than A, print B is greater than A, else if A equal to B, print A and B are equal. So in this example, A is equal to B because the value of both the variable is 3. So that is why the if condition is not satisfied, whereas the else if condition, where it is tested whether A is equal to B, that is satisfied. So that is why as an output of this program we will get this message, A and B are equal. This is printed in the screen. We run this example in the Google Colab, and as expected we get the output as A and B are equal. Next we see the else statement. Else statement is written by using the else keyword. For example, say A is equal to 5, B is equal to 3. If B greater than A, we print B is greater than A, else print B is not greater than A. Now in this example, A is greater than B. So the first condition where if statement has been used, that is not true. That is why it is not executed. But the else condition is executed, that is B is not greater than A. This is printed in the screen as an output of this program. So we run this example and we get the desired output. Next we use if, else if and else together in a single example. Like x is equal to 10, if x greater than 0, print x is positive, else if x less than 0, print x is negative, else print x is 0. So in this example, x is greater than 0. So that is why the if condition is satisfied and we get the output as x is positive. So we run this example and we get the output as x is positive. Other two conditions which are mentioned in the else if and else conditions are not satisfied. So that is why those are not printed. Now we will see use of different keywords which are used in the conditional statements. First of all, we see the AND keyword, which is a logical operator and it is used to combine conditional statements. For example, we want to test if A is greater than B and if C is greater than A. Say A is equal to 5, B is equal to 3, C is equal to 10. We check if A greater than B, which is true, and C greater than A, that is also true. Print both conditions are true. Now in the AND condition, here both if it is to be executed, for that both conditions must be true. It is not that only one condition will be true and it will get executed, but both the condition must be true, then only it will be executed. So in this case, as A is greater than B and C is greater than A, so we get the output as both conditions are true. So we run this and we get the output as both conditions are true. Next we use the OR keyword. It is again a logical operator and it is used to combine conditional statements. So we can use this OR keyword, say in this particular example, in case of if condition, where we want to test if A is greater than B or A is greater than C. The value of A is 5, B is equal to 3, C is equal to 10. Now we check in the if condition using this OR keyword that if A is greater than B or A is greater than C, print at least one of the conditions is true. So here the first condition, that is A greater than B, as the value of A is 5, B is 3. So A greater than B, that is satisfied. But the second condition, that is A greater than C, the value of A is 5, value of C is 10. So this particular condition is not satisfied. However, as one of the conditions is true, we get the output as at least one of the conditions is true, means it will be printed in the screen as an output of this program. So there is a difference between the AND keyword and OR keyword. In case of AND keyword, we have seen that the both condition must be true, then only that will be executed. However, in case of OR, only if one condition is satisfied, then it will be executed. So we use this OR keyword, we run this, and we get the desired output. Then we see the NOT keyword. This NOT keyword is again a logical operator, and it is used to reverse the result of the conditional statement. For example, we want to test if A is not greater than B. Value of A is 3, B is equal to 5. If not A greater than B, that is true, print A is not greater than B. As this particular condition is satisfied, we get the output as A is not greater than B. So we run this example using the NOT keyword in if statement, and you get the output. Then we see the nested if statement. When we will be having one statement, if statement, inside another if statement, then that is called nested if statement. So in this example, x is 50. If x greater than 20, print above 20. Then the nested if condition is coming, that is if x is greater than 40, print and also above 40, else print but not above 40. So here both these conditions are true. X is greater than 20 as well as x is greater than 40. So the condition which is mentioned in case of outer if statement, that is executed, as well as the condition which is mentioned in the nested if statement, that is also executed. So the first two print statements of this example, in this example, are executed. So we run this in the Google Colab and we get the output. Then the pass statement, it is used when there is no content. Okay, means after a condition, if there is no content is mentioned, then this pass statement is used to avoid getting an error. We know that if statements cannot be empty. Okay, but if for some reason, if we have an if statement with no content in it, then we can use the pass statement. Like in this example, A is equal to 3, B is equal to 5, if B greater than A. So that is true, 5 is greater than 3. But there is no content in continuation with this if statement, for this particular if statement. So therefore we simply use pass. Okay, otherwise we would means this particular program would give an error. So to avoid this error, we use the pass statement here. So we run this particular example in the Google Colab. Now we won't get anything as an output, But suppose if we just remove this one first and then try to run this. Okay, so we get error, syntax error, incomplete input. Okay, so here if we use pass, and then there will be no error. Okay, then we use conditional statements in case of loop structure in the Python programming. So Python is having basically two primitive loop commands. One is while loop and another is for loop. So this while loop basically continuously executes a block of code as long as a specified condition is true. And for loop executes a block of code a specified number of times, iterating over elements of a sequence. It may be list, it may be tuple, it may be string. So we see this two loop structure, and we will also see what are the differences between these two loop structure, while and for. So in the while loop, we can execute a set of statements as long as a condition is true. For example, we want to print the value of I as long as I is less than 5. So we write like this: I is equal to 1 while I less than 5, print I is equal to I plus 1. So this example will print the values of I from 1 to 4, because when this condition while loop checks while I is less than 5. Okay, say when the value of I is 1. Okay, so it checks if I is less than 5, obviously 1 is less than 5. So it will print the value of 1. Then the value of I is incremented by 1. That means it becomes 2. Again it checks while I less than 5, that is 2 is also less than 5. So we get the value of I, means the program will print the value of I as 2. So similarly 3, 4. Now after 4 the value of I is incremented again with 1, and it becomes 5. So while then it checks while I less than 5. So what will happen? 5 is not less than 5, means this is not true. Okay, so what will happen? This will stop executing. This particular loop, while loop, will stop executing. Okay, so that is why we will get the values of I, or values of I will be printed as the output of this program from 1 to 4. So we run this one while loop, and we get the values of I as 1, 2, 3 and 4. Next, we see the break statement. By using the break statement, we can stop the loop even if the while condition is true. Means if we want to suddenly out of the loop, okay, if we want to get out of the loop suddenly, then we use this break condition, okay, or break statement basically. So like in this example, exit the loop when I is 3. So I is equal to 1 while I is less than 5. Print I if I is equal to 3, break I is equal to I plus 1. So what will happen? So it will first print, check the while condition I is less than 5. Value of I is initialized with 1. So 1 is less than 5. So the value of I is printed as 1. Next 2 will be printed. Then 3 will also be printed as it is less than 5. But after that while loop, the if condition will be checked. If I is equal to 3. Okay, so it will break. Okay, means we will be out of the loop and the program stops execution. So one thing we must have to remember, like in case of while loop, we need to set the or initialize the value of the indexing variable. Like in this particular example, we need to define this indexing variable I, and we have set its value as 1. So same for here also, we have set the value of indexing variable as 1. That means we need to initialize it. So let us now run this particular example in Google Colab. This break statement. So we get the values of I 1, 2 and 3. Then we use the continue statement. So if we want to stop the current iteration in the loop, okay, and continue with the next, we use the continue statement. So there is a difference between this break statement and continue statement. In case of break statement, we suddenly get out of the loop and it never gets executed. But in case of continuous statement, only the current or present iteration is skipped, but if the means condition is satisfied, then it will continue. Okay, so only that particular iteration is skipped. Now in this example, if we continue to the next iteration, if I is 4, so here what we initialize values of I as 1, while I less than 5, print the value of I, this one, sorry. Continue to the next iteration, if I is 4, I is equal to 0, while I less than 6, I is equal to I plus 1. If I is equal to 4, continue, print. So what will happen in this case? First of all, the value of I 1 is printed, while I less than 6 means 0 is obviously less than 6. So the value of I is incremented by 1. So it will become 1. Okay. And then the if condition is checked. If I is equal to 4, obviously 1 is not equal to 4. So we continue. Means continue will statement will not be executed. So we simply go jump to the print statement. Okay. So we get the value of I as 1. Next 2. Then 3. Okay. Now when the value of I is 3 in the next iteration, it will be incremented to 4. Now if I is equal to 4, there is the continuous statement. So continuous statement means we will be getting out of the loop for this particular iteration 4. Okay, but this program will not stop its execution. Again, it will check the while condition while I less than 6, 4 is less than 6. So I will be incremented with 1. I becomes 5. Then it will print the value of I as 5 and then 6 finally. Okay. So this particular example will print the values of I from 1 to 3 and then 5 to 6, keeping 4. So we run this one. So we get values 1, 2, 3, 5 and 6. Next we use the else statement in while loop. With this else statement, we can run a block of code once when the condition no longer is true. We have seen the use of else statement earlier also in case of if else. So print a message once condition is false. So I is initialized with 1, while I less than 6, print I. I is equal to I plus 1, else print I is no longer than 6. So this particular example will print the values of I from 1 to 5, and when the value of I is 6, so what will it do? It will print I is no longer less than 6. So we run this example, else statement in while loop, and we get the values of I 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and finally I is no longer than 6. Now we use the for loop. So with the for loop we can execute a set of statements once for each item in a list, or tuple or set or even string. So for example, for I in range 5, print I. So this example will print the values of I from 0 to 4. Now you see the difference in while loop and for loop. In case of while loop, we have to set the value of the indexing variable before using. But here it is not needed. So we directly use the I indexing variable in the for loop. One more thing, in this particular function, which is range that is used here, it returns a sequence of numbers starting from 0 by default, and it is incremented by default with 1 and ends at a specified number. Means whatever we have specified in the range function, like in this case it is 5, so it will print the values from 0 to 4, not 0 to 5, because it is exclusive in nature. Means the endpoint, means what the particular specified number is mentioned, that is exclusive, starts from 0 by default, incremented by 1, and it ends at that particular specified number. So we will see the range function in details also. So first of all, we run this example in Google Colab, and we will get the values of I as 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then we can also loop through a string. In Python, strings are also iterable objects, so they can contain a sequence of characters. Like if we want to loop through the letters in the word apple, we can write through for loop, for x in apple, print x. So this example will iterate through the letters in the word apple and will print A, P, P, L and E. So in Python you can see that the string means the letters in the string that can also be taken in the loop, for loop. So we run this particular program. This one, and we get the strings which is contained in case of apple. If we want, we can change this one orange, and we will get the letters ORANG. Then we see the control flow keywords in for loop, like we have also used in case of while loop, this break statement, continue statement and pass statement. Similarly, we can use those in case of for loop also. So as we have seen earlier, with the break statement we can stop the loop before it has looped through all the items, and then in case of continue, we can stop the current iteration of the loop and continue with the next, and pass is used as a placeholder indicating that no action is to be taken. So in this example, we print the values of I from 0 to 2 and then 4 to 6 keeping 3. So we write like for I in range 10, that means it would start from 0 incremented by default with 1. If I is equal to 3, continue, that means it will come out of this loop when the value of I is 3. Else if I is 7, then break. That means when the value of I reaches to 7, then it will means get out of the loop. Okay, and so we will get the values of I firstly from 0 to 2 and then 4 to 6. So we run this and so we get 0, 1, 2. Then when I's value is 3, continue, that means we will be out of that loop and going to the next iteration. So we get 4, 5 and then 6, and then when the value of I is 7, break, that means we are completely out of the loop. So therefore we get this output, the output of this program like this. Now we discuss the range function in Python. We have already seen this, and basically it is used to generate a sequence of numbers and commonly used in loops for iterating over a sequence of numbers. So syntax is like this: range, start, stop and step. So these are the three parameters of the range function. So start is optional, which indicates integer number specifying at which position to start. Default is 0. Stop is required parameter, which will specify the integer number at which position to stop, and as I mentioned earlier that it is not exclusive in nature, inclusive in nature. It is exclusive in nature, means that particular value will not be considered. And then step is again optional, which is by default 1, but we can specify integer number, means for increment of the values. So what are the characteristics and uses of range? Characteristics are like range returns a special range object which is an immutable sequence type, means immutable means which cannot be changed when we specify the range of the values or through this range object, and it generates values on demand. That means we can say it is a lazy evaluation, which makes it memory efficient for large ranges and supports all the features of sequence types like indexing, slicing, etc. And common uses includes iterating over a sequence of numbers in for loops and creating list or tuples of numbers and generating index numbers for iterative objects. So we see some examples of range function in for loop. Like for I in range 5 print I, this we have already seen. It will generate numbers from 0 to 4 and 5 is not included. And then specifying the start and stop, say for I in range 2, 7 print I. That means it will generate numbers from 2 to 6. 7 will not be included. So we run these two examples in Google Colab and we get the desired output. This is the next one. Then we can specify the steps, like for I in range 1 to 10, and it will be incremented by 2. So that is why we can mention this particular parameter value as 2. So this example will generate number from 1 to 9, and incrementing by 2 each time. That means it will first print 1, then 3, then 5, then 7, and lastly 9. And we can also use the negative step, like for I in range 10, 0, -2, print I. So this program will generate numbers from 10, then down to -2, that means 8, then 6, then 4, then 2. Okay, and 0 will not be included as it is exclusive in nature. So we run these two example. First one specifying the steps as 2. So we'll get output 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And next one is the negative step in range function, decremented with -2 each and every time. Finally, we see the nested for loops. So in Python, nested for loops are used when you need to iterate over multiple sequences or perform iterative tasks within an iterative task. So these nested for loops are powerful construct in Python, allowing us to efficiently handle complex iteration tasks that involve multiple levels of iteration. And the inner loop will be executed one time for each iteration of the outer loop. So this is the example of nested for loop. Like for I in range 1 to 4, this is the outer loop. For j in range 1 to 4, this is the inner loop. Print ij. So in this example, the outer loop runs 3 times with I taking values 1, 2 and 3. Then for each iteration of the outer loop, that means for each value of I, the inner loop runs 3 times. The j will take values 1, 2 and 3 for each I. Like for when I is 1, then the values of j will be iterated over for 1, 2 and 3. Then in the outer loop, the value of I is incremented by 1, that is 2. So for I's value of 2, the nested for loop with j, it will be iterated over again 1, 2 and 3. Then for when I's value is 3, then the next j's value means the inner loop with j's value, it will be iterated over again 1, 2 and 3. So we will get the output like this of this program: 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, then 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, and then 3, 1, 3, 2 and 3, 3. So in this print statement, it will print the current values of I and j formatted as a tuple. So if we run this, and we will get output like this, both the inner loop and outer loop. So thank you for patiently listening, and I have taken the course material from ChatGPT as well as from W3 schools, and the content I have taken from these two sources, and examples also I have taken with some customization. So thank you very much, and if you are having any query, you can ask those query or clarify on those queries in the question answering session. Thank you once again.